Welcome to a second example of solving two-step equations with fractions. In this example, we're going to be solving the equation by first clearing the fractions from the equation. We'll be solving the same equation in another video where we just leave the fractions in the equation and solve it like any other two-step equation. But because we want to clear the fractions from the equation, let's review the steps that we'll take. The first step is actually optional, but we're going to build fractions that have the same least common denominator. And then step 2, we'll multiply each fraction by the common denominator to clear the fractions from the equation. Then we'll solve the resulting equation that will not contain fractions by adding or subtracting to isolate the variable term. Then multiply or divide to solve for the variable. As a last step, we'll check our solution. So going back to our example, we first want to determine the least common denominator when we have the denominators of 3, 4, and 12. Well, the least common denominator will be the least common multiple of 3, 4, and 12, which would be the smallest number divisible by 3, 4, and 12. Looking at the multiples below, we can see the LCD would be 12. But if we have a hard time determining the least common denominator, we can build it using the prime factorization of the denominators. So for example, for 2/3 x, since 3 is prime, I'm going to write this as 2x over 3 minus the prime factorization of 4 would be 2 times 2, and the prime factorization of 6 would be 2 times 3. So another way to build the LCD would be to make sure the denominators contain the same prime factors. So looking at this first fraction, notice how it only has one factor of 3, but since this fraction has two factors of 2, this fraction needs two factors of 2. So we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2 factors of 2. Notice how this product is equal to 12, giving us our LCD. And then for the second fraction, notice how it doesn't have any factors of 3, but it needs 1 because the other fractions have 1. So we're going to multiply this fraction by 3 over 3. And then the last fraction here needs one more factor of 2, so we'll multiply by 2 over 2. Notice now all the denominators are 12. Let's go ahead and rewrite this as 8x over 12 minus 3 twelfths equals, this would be 10 twelfths. Remember, our goal here is to clear the fractions from the equation. So now we're going to multiply each fraction by 12, or 12 over 1. And this will clear the fractions from the equation. So we're going to multiply this by 12 over 1, multiply this by 12 over 1, and multiply this by 12 over 1. Notice in this case, in each product we have 12 over 12 that simplifies to 1. So the resulting equation would be 8x minus 3 equals 10. Now this is quite a bit of work, so I do want to point out that if we did recognize that 12 was the LCD of the fractions, we could multiply each fraction in the original equation by 12 and get the same equation that we have here. And let's go ahead and show this. So we'll write 2x over 3 minus 1/4 equals 5/6. We're going to multiply each fraction by 12 in this form, and we'll see the equation will be the same as we have here. So times 12 over 1, times 12 over 1, and times 12 over 1. Before we multiply, we have to simplify each of these. 3 and 12 share a common factor of 3. There's 1 3 and 3, and 4 3s and 12. 4 and 12 share a common factor of 4. Simplifies to 1. This simplifies to 3. And 6 and 12 simplify. There's 1 6 and 6, and 2 6s and 12. Notice the result here would be 8x over 1, or just 8x, minus 3 over 1, or 3, equals 10 over 1, or 10. Notice the resulting equation is the same. This equation is the same as this equation. So if you can identify the LCD quickly, this is a nice way to go. If you struggle identifying the LCD, you can build it and then multiply each term by the LCD. Let's go ahead and solve the resulting equation here. So for the next step, we'll undo the subtraction by adding 3 to both sides. It's 0. So now we have 8x equals 13. Last step, divide both sides by 8. So we have our solution. Our solution is x equals 13/8. This is an improper fraction, even though it is simplified. Let's go ahead and also express this as a mixed number. To do this, we'll perform this division. Remember, a fraction bar means division. So 13 divided by 8, there's 1 8 in 13. 1 times 8 is 8, and we subtract. 13 minus 8 is 5, which means 13/8 is equal to 1, and the remainder over the divisor, or 1 5/8. We did check this solution in the other example, so we're not going to check it here. This solution is correct. So I would encourage you to take a look at the other example where we solve this by leaving the fractions in the equation just to see the result is the same. I hope you found this helpful.